Yeah, always put your oxygen mask on.
Look what I've got. Make a note of it.
Now you're just asking the universe for bad things. Get it off.
Okay, yeah, like that. Yeah, but put your oxygen mask on.
Yeah.
Before you go saving everybody else. Hi everybody. So wonderful. Typical GP, 6:30 on a Thursday evening.
Yeah, a very long week. I'm sorry it's been a while. We've been so busy, but we are back with the queen of Total Triage,
Yeah.
Nat Martin, who we've known a long time now. And Nat, we've both been doing Total Triage for a long time, right from the very beginning. And I think between us, we know quite a lot about it.
Yes, we do. And everything's gone into chaos recently, hasn't it? Around Total Triage. Lots of people have been asking, how do we do this? Should we do this? We're doing it. It's not going as well as we thought it would go. So I think that's what started this conversation.
Yeah. Nat, over to you.
Yeah, so I think we just discussed, haven't we? But lots of people are kind of struggling at the minute because obviously, as you've said, we've been doing triage for a long time. And for us, this switch to longer days, or in some people's cases, not switching at all because they're already doing core hours, total triage, is not much of an adjustment. But for people that have started recently, even in the past few months, this is a big deal. And I think a lot of people are worried, concerned, and need a few pointers to help them get established, really, because we all know that actually it can have some huge benefits in the long term.
Yeah, and that's what today's for. Is literally not much preparation. It's jumping on just to see if we can help out with some advice. Some of those practices who are struggling, and we're hearing about them up here as well. We're in the northwest, and Nat, you're over in.
Well, I'm in East Yorkshire, so yeah.
Oh, the north is winning.
Yeah.
Okay. So shall we just go first of all into the setup, because I've been on these forums as well, and I keep face palming. A lot of people are kind of trying to invent the wheel again, and we've done with this many times through many iterations. So have you, Nat, and there are some key rules that you have to follow, otherwise the system will break and you'll have a really bad time.
Yeah, and it doesn't have to be one formula because, as we've discussed, like, we do slightly different things. You have a waiting list, we don't hold a waiting list, but both different types of systems can work. It's just about kind of individual preference.
Yeah, and actually making sure that for us, it's always been psychological safety, making sure our staff are protected and happy, because that will have knock-on effects to patients.
Yeah, for sure. And I think we both probably came from the original place where demand wasn't meeting capacity, and we wanted to make sure the right people got seen at the right time, which is a great premise for Total Triage. I think with the wonderful supportive government announcement.
No, we're not going to get political on this one.
It was wonderful and supportive.
Yeah.
Two positive things. So everything stays on until 6:30. I think that is probably what's pushed a lot of people to look at how you do it again.
Yeah.
So why don't you tell us, Nat, how you started, how you set it up, and then we'll just pop in and see if we do things differently or what we found helpful or not.
Yeah. So this is Nat Martin, the Queen of Total Triage, and there are loads of free resources that she's made available to the nation, and that we use them. They're really helpful. So do get out there. They're out on a lot of the forums. But over to you, Nat.
Yeah, so we've been going, 3.5 years now. Like you said, we came to it because we were struggling. We were, we had a duty day where we were sometimes getting 110 patients between two of us, and it was a killer. We had just demand that was just outstripping our capacity. There was no way to meet that. We had to really think about what can we do differently here? How can we ensure that the right people are getting in? We were getting people in multiple times that didn't ought to be in, and people that really needed to be in just unable to, and it didn't feel comfortable. So we looked about, and we'd heard about clinic and that system and that kind of approach, and we looked at that first, but we found it a bit overly cumbersome. So we started looking at Accurate, because we we use Accurate so much anyway. And it's such an easy system to use. So we went down that road and we went pretty swiftly. I like to move pretty swiftly. No point hanging around. Let's just go for it. I think we gave about 6 weeks notice. We did our Facebook updates, website, phones, local paper, etc. And we did some other checkpoints. So a month before, we did all that again, 2 weeks before, 1 week before, on the Friday before, and we were brave and we went live the week after Easter bank holiday, which was, you know, pretty good. And people worry about, you know, clearing the decks and all this stuff. We didn't do any of that. We just dove in basically, and it worked. And I think the reason it worked is because we've done that buy-in. We've got all those partners bought in. We've got a WhatsApp group benchmarking how you triage different clinical outcomes. We've got people to feel comfortable. We've done a lot of work with our staff about how it would work, making sure that they were happy with how things were going to proceed. And most importantly and critically, we set up our appointment book correctly. I think we did our audits, we did our research, we looked at our data, and we used that to establish what type of slots we had across what different types of clinicians and what the embargoes were. So when those slots got released and what the ratio of on-day to advanced booking appointments was. And I think you have your traffic light system, don't you, for your slots, do you? Yeah, RAG rating, which is like a traffic light system. And we have that as well, but we nuanced it a bit because we wanted to group people. So we have some grouping as well of people with a similar skill set. So doing a similar thing really. And that's, I want that going. Yeah.
And I think that's where some of the other practices are kind of feeling it, because they thought that there was going to be like a rollback on October the 1st, and that didn't happen. And actually, they were faced with having to turn it on with hardly any preparation. So I think that's where some of them are feeling the pain a little bit. But having said that, you know, I'm like, you know, I just get on and do it. Don't overthink it. But there are some things you do need to prepare for, like you said.
Yeah, exactly. The appointment system, I think, is the biggest thing. And also the things like some of the resources that I've shared that would be helpful for others that we made, like the safety netting texts, having those ready to go, because, you know, you are going to get quite a bit of unnecessary demand in the beginning because, you know, people, it's online, it's easy, they're going to fill it in, but you can train them. So if you fire back your safety netting text for the inappropriate requests, they learn. Your patients have learned. They don't do that stuff anymore.
You're right. So I think getting something to book people into, an appointment book, doing some work on that, and actually having ready some set text to fire back, those are actually quite essential, aren't they, at the beginning?
Yeah, and that the thing that really matters is the person doing the triage, because I think if it's an experienced clinician, I actually think you're prepared to take an element of risk. You're going to say, you know what, actually, I don't think your cough and cold needs to come in today. Here's some information. If this has happened, you know what to do. But I think sometimes if it's reception or even a nurse doing the triage.
We've heard the stories of,
yeah,
you know, care coordinators
yeah,
doing triage. It's just not going to work as a recipe for disaster.
yeah,
It really is.
Yeah.
What we found is, I think when we triage, probably because we're long in the tooth, old doing this now, we actually triage perhaps a bit more, shall I say, efficiently. But I think the more when people start triaging,
Gotta be careful what you say now.
when people start triaging, I don't blame them. It is risky.
Yeah.
You can be risk averse and you say, right, come on in. But it's how you set up your system to make sure that you make the most of the clinician who bats away the right things and lets the right things come through.
But looking at the right people doing it. So I totally agree. And that is also the right personality types. Like, you don't have to have every GP doing triage. At our surgery, it's predominantly partner-led. We've got some salary GPs who do it as well, but they're of the mindset that works with triage. They make quicker decisions. Some people, excellent clinicians as they are not suited to triage. And it's about acknowledging that and thinking, actually, you're great, you're an essential part of the team, but your skills aren't in triage, and having those discussions. And we have GPs that don't do triage at all. And I think that is really important. And it does get easier. We can comfortably, it sounds crazy, but if needed, we can triage 368 forms a day, just one of us. And that's not ideal. That's not what we really want to be doing. But if necessary, we can do it. And I think that's because you were choosing people that are better at the triage. Their mind naturally works in that way, and they've gotten used to it over time. And that's just saving so many appointments. 43% roughly of our triage forms just end there. They don't go any further. And that's huge.
And as you were saying that, so that you get a peak, you get a increase in demand when you go live, and then that tails off as you get used to it.
And you push back on the people who are being silly, who are using it inappropriately.
Can't call patients silly.
No, I just said using it in a silly way. I'm not calling you silly.
Yes. So there are some people who perhaps need a bit of training on how to use this newfound freedom for some to send.
So we got like, I think some people were like they'd send us the first one and we'd reply to them, and then we get 2 more that day. So one of the tricks I was using, I would delay the reply.
This is to the public.
No, I would just delay the reply so it wouldn't go straight away. They would get it a little bit later.
Yeah.
And I think that was training for me, because mine was like, what do I do? Sort it out now. And actually,
I think what you're trying to say is that some people can't believe just how amazing the system is. Then you've got, you'd have to wait on the queue, at reception, you'd have to wait on the phone. Bang, you can just submit something, and you can keep on submitting something to a highly trained organization, and there's no limit to it. And so that's what I think is feeding a lot of the demand.
So the initial demand, that is what we certainly saw a flare up of that.
Yeah.
That goes away, doesn't it? That those people that send multiple forms a day, they stop doing it. Obviously, you'll always have a few that do, and they're the same people that are phoned multiple times a day. But on the whole, people learn, if you're consistent, if all your triaging doctors give the same message, they learn that that's not going to work.
So how long do you think that peak lasts for?
Not that long, maximum of 3 months.
Right, yeah.
Yeah.
So ours was about 5 weeks.
Just under 6 weeks. One of the things that we did do for the people who kept calling us is I'm back in the screen. We did draw up a fair use policy, which I think would apply not just to online, but and to be honest, most people who, when we've approached, actually were quite reasonable about it. I think there was maybe one patient in these 5 years who was she wasn't happy about it, but which is not bad.
So have you got a fair use policy as well?
We don't actually, because we found that we don't really need it. But what we do, we are very, very strict on giving warning letters to patients, and we will off-list people. If you abuse the system, we will give you a warning letter. And if you continue to abuse the system, we will off-list you, because you create an unfair demand.
Yeah, absolutely. That sounds harsh, but actually we're looking after a whole population here.
We are.
We've got 16,700 patients. You've got thousands of patients as well. And we need to share those resources fairly to everyone. And occasionally what happens is that you do get still a minority of patients who perhaps abuse the system. And to make sure that care doesn't take away from the really, really needy patients, we need to take action sometimes. So yeah, I'm totally with you. I think we're the same.
Yeah, I think you've got to be. We are responsible for the whole of our population, and we've got to share those resources fairly. And also, we're responsible for ourselves and our clinicians. We're responsible for their sanity, for their ability to do their job, for keeping them from burnout and from emotional abuse.
Yeah. Again, Matt, totally agree with you. Psychological safety of our staff was actually one of the leading principles that we built the system on.
So we didn't do it as well as you. We made the mistake. So it's been 4 years, 5 years, and I'm doing it. So we were just building it on the ground, like, oh, let's try this. The biggest mistake we did, and I would tell people don't do, is do not double run. Do not do what we did. So we let people contact us through the phone as they normally would, as well as doing an online triage. Guess what? It was awful. People coming at us from everywhere. You couldn't control your work. So then we took the decision that, right, wherever it comes in from, it will go to the triage doctor. So even if you call, even if you come in, even if you beg your friend receptionist for an appointment, it will all have to come through to the triage doctor. And that made a big difference.
So there's two golden rules there so far. One is make sure you've got the right people triaging.
Yeah.
And two, now this is hybrid systems, don't run a hybrid system.
They don't work. They absolutely do not work. Like we had e-consult before Accurex, and that were kind of almost like hybrid in that they were all submitting forms, and then the care coordinators would be putting them all in appointments. And actually then the older patients on the phone were being beaten by these online access people. But what happens now is it all flows into one inbox. It doesn't matter how you contact us, you're going to end up on the same inbox altogether, and you're going to be treated fairly on what your clinical need.
Yeah. So that is from two, not just from two experienced practices doing triage, don't run a hybrid system, but actually it's from a lot of the practices that we've helped. Is that not right, Matt?
Absolutely. The people running hybrids are all tend to struggle. They come for help, and mostly I'm telling them, ditch your hybrid.
Yeah. Just so yeah, I think going forward, just girding your loins and going for it. I think it's frightening, but actually it is the way to make it a success. And then what you do is people initially, we got a little bit of pushback. Why do I have to do this? I was a little, and you have to persevere, and you have to keep your team on side to say, no, I know it's different, but we're going to do it this way. I can take it for you.
Just the consistency that Matt's talking about.
Yeah, and our team loved it. They loved it. Our reception have never been happier than when we switched to triage, because they had the psychological safety you run about. They were no longer felt like they were making decisions. We were making decisions. And don't get me wrong, they have hard conversations. Reception's are a really hard job. But they are feeling less responsible and less like they're going home thinking someone's going to harm themselves or something's going to happen to someone because of their decision now. And they should have never felt like that, because they're not supposed to be triaging. They were only ever supposed to be signposting.
Yeah. Oh, okay, go.
No, so I was going to say, once our patients got it, they loved it. They still love it. You know, we still, like, all these years down, every so often we get people Google reviewing or saying it's great online system.
It's like having private health.
Yeah, that was a good review. That was a good review. Yeah.
Okay, so and let me again emphasize here that, you know, Total Triage is a great way to conserve your resources, and especially when you've got limited capacity to meet the unlimited demand. What Total Triage isn't is you know, a way to mitigate underfunding in primary care. I mean, both of us have got, all of us have got strong feelings on that. We can only do so much. We are so efficient already.
Yes.
We were doing over 95% of the appointments in the NHS on less than 8% of the NHS's budget. We don't run a deficit. So this is just an example of us being efficient. Imagine how much more efficient we could be if we actually had the funding. But this isn't a stick to beat us ourselves with. And this is all about protecting our staff and protecting our patients. Is that right?
Yeah, this is not a get around for the government to underfund us. This is not going to solve the problems in primary care. This is, I think you should embrace modern general practice when it is appropriate. And I do think this is an appropriate step forward that works better for patients. It's not going to solve the funding crisis, because ultimately we're fooling ourselves as a nation. We need to be doing more preventative medicine and getting on top of chronic illness. And we can't do that even with Total Triage, with the resource available, because ultimately we need longer appointments and we need more GPs in jobs.
Absolutely. So that's just before we get all the complaints from some colleagues saying, you know, you're doing government's bidding for.
No. So the wording, it's not. This is not a thing to run faster on the hamster wheel. No. This is a way for you to decide how you're going to run it, how fast you're going to go, and what is safe for you to do. And
what we do, I know Nat doesn't do, but what we do is we use it as a waiting list, because there is limited capacity. And for me, Ahmed's first law, what was it?
I can't remember.
Ahmed's first law, in a free at the point of delivery healthcare system, demand is unlimited. Lots of our colleagues may disagree with me, especially the younger ones, but they're wrong. And they will learn as they get older. So this is a way of kind of trying to mitigate the unlimited demand in a safe way and to protect our sanity.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I mean, yeah, demand is definitely unlimited, and also you shouldn't aim to solve everything through your triage. You will have to redirect people. We redirect people many a time. You run out of appointments, and we don't operate a waiting list, but we do have as appointment booking up to 4 weeks in advance. Generally, most of the year it's only a 2-week wait for a routine appointment. It sometimes gets worse around Easter. It did hit 4 weeks because we had a particularly bad timed Easter this year. But mostly it's 2 weeks or under, 10 days-ish. But if you come wanting same day appointment at 3 o'clock in the afternoon and all of the appointments are gone and we think it's urgent for today, we will triage you and we will decide where you need to go, be it the urgent care centre or if you need to go, A&E. We're not a risk sink for the system.
Totally. On that, it's probably a good time to explain. So the actual appointment system, the appointment list, and also you said it's a way of diverting. So I know that we use Total Triage as a way to point people away from general practice. You know, all the dental things, they go to a dentist.
Yeah.
Acute eye service takes care of all the red eyes. XCPs take care of all the musculoskeletal stuff. What else have we got?
So we've got the social prescriber, so they don't need to come to us, so that can get plugged straight in.
Yeah.
I'm trying to see.
Pharmacy first.
Pharmacy first, yeah.
Yeah.
Pharmacy first, and the community pharmacy, and in fact,
But some GPs aren't using pharmacy first. I just
Now, we're not using it that much, and I think it's because it varies massively over the country. So we use it on days where we know that there's no way we're going to have enough capacity. But we also acknowledge, and dear government, the Pharmacy First scheme is not particularly good. I'm sorry, but they don't do as clinically thorough a job as we do, and they're not as hard on antimicrobial stewardship. And we have excellent data when it comes to prescribing of antibacterial drugs, and we don't want to ruin that by sending them all to Pharmacy First. So we use it sparingly, but we do use it when we need to. We've also got a respiratory hub, which we find useful, and I know some people don't like the idea of hubs, again, because they think it's taking things from general practice, but our hub works pretty well for us, and I think because it's run by the Federation, it's under some GP control, and that's the important thing, that things are led and set up with strong clinical input.
So lots of places to refer on to, but do you want to tell us about the patients that actually need an appointment? How do you deal with those, and how's your appointment book set up?
So basically all our incoming requests go into one inbox. There's someone triaging, and if it's a same day booking, we write a note, send that note back to our AccuRx team, which are basically a subset of reception, and they phone the patient and book them in. If it's for a future day, we send them booking links, and we utilise the AccuRx booking links, which patients like because it gives them a choice of days. We find that when our booking links start to run out, patients are less satisfied because they get less choice, so we try and keep a number of those on. And that's basically it. Sometimes we'll go back to them for more information, but generally our reception team are doing that. So they're looking through and trying to find things that need more information, like they need a UTI florey or a cough florey, etc., to get that information.
A florey is for the people that don't use AccuRx. What is it?
A questionnaire, a short questionnaire for patients with the critical information you'd need in order to make a triage decision. The briefer, the better.
Yeah. And so your appointment book, do you have a particular number of slots per day which are on the day, or?
Not a number, a percentage. So the percentage of GP on the day appointments is about 60%, and the percentage of trainee and ACP on the days is more like 70%, because they see more acute things. And I will vary it around. So I'm constantly looking at the appointment book, and I think this is really important. And I will look at key days. I've got all the appointments are on up to 6 weeks. So all my rotas are planned, and I can be like, this is a short day. There's less GPs. I need to alter the percentage of embargoes on that day. And I fiddle with it because that's how it keeps running. That's how we don't run out of appointments. That's how the system works.
And that's key, isn't it? To constantly monitor your books to make sure you've got the right proportions each day. I mean, if there were ever a call for an automation or an AI.
Oh yes, that would be lovely, wouldn't it? But you know, the other thing just to say is, if you you're pre-booking it, is like when people call in ill.
Yeah.
So for us, it's been really helpful because we know, okay, so we only have these
Do
many.
you want to just describe because ours is actually similar to yours.
So we
Right.
red, amber, green.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the reds are today, this session, we need to see you.
They have to be seen that session as well. We'll
Yeah.
come on to that in a second.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ambers, they can wait a few days, like up to a week. And then the greens are our waiting list. So they are
routine.
triaged as this can wait. And in a way, because we've triaged them, then if somebody calls in sick and we have to cancel their clinic, I know that green, I can move that like 2-3 weeks down and it'll be okay. Whereas the ambers, I would probably try and get in a little bit earlier. So certainly makes that side of things easier. They're always okay to contact us and say, oh, you know, I'm feeling worse or whatever, and you know, we can re-triage and book it.
But what Nat was saying earlier on about how you approach those urgent ones is you have to call them up. Totally agree.
Yeah.
Texts don't work for people that you need to see that day.
Yeah.
And then the rest of the booking links. We're using Medicus, very, very similar system.
Yeah.
So that works quite well.
Yeah. I tell you, the other thing that really helped us, and this is some of the work we did before we went, was follow-ups.
Yes.
So that was a whole interesting bit of work. So some doctors, you know, they like to follow up their patients regularly. And it's
Nat that she's got some stories to tell.
Well, we have a set number of follow-up slots that we feel is clinically appropriate.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yes. So we came to
Everyone out there, look at your follow-ups. Look who's booking in follow-ups and creating themselves lots and lots of clinics full of useless follow-ups to give them lovely afternoons.
Yeah.
It happens, I'm afraid. It even happens with doctors, surprisingly.
Not in my surgery, don't.
And nor in ours either.
I
Thankfully.
think we like, to be honest, there were some who were worse than others.
Yeah.
But then we agreed, right, this is the number of follow-up slots you have. And actually, if you need more than that, speak to the person on call because you're taking away their ability to triage. So I think the fact that they have to get it sanctioned.
Yeah. So on that, so we've got a little incentive built in. So
Yeah.
whoever's triaging, they triage half a day. So Monday morning, we have 2 people on, but all the other sessions, one for the morning, one for the afternoon, they have a set number of red slots across all the clinicians. And if you use those red slots up, you're going to be dealing with all the subsequent red slot appointments, the urgents that shift. So you are incentivized, therefore, to use those red slots very, very sparingly and appropriately, and your job isn't just to triage and fill slots. Your job is actually to deal with some of the stuff coming in. And I think that's another golden rule. The triager actually has to do some work in not only assigning and categorizing the slots, but also handling some of those really, really quickly things that come in.
We don't operate in quite the same way in that they will never have to see the patients, but they will have to deal with the ethical, moral, and risky consequences of what they do with them when all the slots are gone. And I don't like sending patients elsewhere. I'll do it when there's no other option, because I also know that there is a limit to my brain's ability to make decisions, and that actually I'm offering them a worse deal by assessing them myself than I am sending them elsewhere by the time I've done 360 forms. But it's in your own interest, for your own sanity, to make sure that you use your slots appropriately, and absolutely agree that you should be dealing with things that can be dealt with yourself. There's lots of things that can be dealt with just through text message response to patients and through images.
And that's the one thing with Medicus is that we can do emails now, and actually you can make it a lot nicer, kind of warmer, patient friendly, rather than
try to fit it into a text.
Into a small. So that has made a big difference.
What we used to do with Accurix is we used to create web pages.
Direct.
And then direct them to that page.
That's what we do with the safety net in text.
And I think that's the thing about, at least, I think between 30 to 40% of what comes in should be resolved at triage. If you're doing that, you're hitting a reasonable, sustainable goal, I think, for it to succeed. I think if everything that comes in, you give an appointment.
Well, what's the point?
That's not triaging. Okay. So we've covered quite a lot of the golden rules there. Is there anything else that we need to?
So do we want to, do we want to talk about?
Oh, actually, now you've got a whole bunch of resources that the nation is using, all the ones who are any good. They're using. So tell us about those.
For the stuff that's specific for triage, we've got a safety netting text. We've got some other general texts that are for conditions, and this is to stop that follow up. So for the people that like to follow up for really simple things, we've got like three pages of text that talk to people about, you know, I've got hyponatremia, I've got hypokalemia, I've got my cholesterol's too raised. It's got all links and descriptions that generally patients are happy with. So we've got those resources, and also I've shared my presentations from Accurate's conferences and kind of user guides for AccurateX and kind of just approaches to triage, how it should work, that I give to new starters at work.
And it's not, these things don't just apply to practices that use AccurateX. So a lot of the presentations that we've done for AccurateX are on the AccurateX website and on YouTube channels. Look them up. But they are platform agnostic. They will work with most systems.
Yeah.
It's the principles, isn't it?
Yeah, it's the principles of triage, basically.
Yeah. I mean, I think the other thing that probably people would find helpful is how do you deal with not being able to switch it off?
Well, we do switch it off. So no, we don't switch it all off. We do what I feel is contractually compliant, and they can come and argue with me if they want. But basically, we leave our admin forms on till 6:30, but we turn the medical forms off at 4. And we do that because by the time it gets past 4, there's no appointments left anyway. So it's entirely pointless for anyone to put their same day needs through past 4 o'clock. But we do allow, you know, if people phone reception, they will fill out the form and it will still come through to us, the medical form. And the admin form, as far as I'm concerned, deals with the thing that the government wants dealing with, which is routine requests. So they are still putting through routine requests in the core hours. So that to me is contractually compliant. Yeah.
So just to get that straight, we were never closed. We always were open till 6:30. That's not changed. And in the past, we used to close ours at 4:30, and you know, people used to know if it was an emergency, used to call us up and we deal with it.
And we would, and to be honest, actually, because the on call, and usually it was often people had picked up kids from school and they were worried, so we would see them. And now we've left it on, so you know, people are getting normal until 6:30. What has happened though is we probably are having less time to actually physically see and manage the patient.
It's actually reduced access.
Yeah. So, you know, which is.
Yeah, I think it will reduce access. And I've told the ICB in our area that it's going to increase their winter pressure.
Yeah.
Because all these people who would have sat at home, possibly taken some paracetamol and thought about their problem a bit more, are now going to be like, haha, GP hand is open. Let's get in touch with them. And unfortunately, what happens is, as we all know, sometimes people overplay their symptoms. If you overplay your symptoms in a system where there's no capacity left, they're going to divert you elsewhere, which is going to make the whole system's winter pressures more. So it's actually completely illogical.
Yeah. I mean, certainly that's like we were having a discussion. So I think when I did the afternoon, I think I went from about 6 to 6:30. I think I had 5 or 6 different ones come in, and I could manage them all through. And there was a couple that I couldn't. You know, normally if I hadn't had to reply to all the others, I would have been able to deal with, but there was no capacity because I had to fulfill my contract obligations.
So here is an example of a diktat from high actually causing harm to the way that we deal with our patients. Who'd have thunk it? It never happens, does it?
Yeah, I know. Fancy that. Yeah. I think part of the problem is some people probably looked at this, this is great, everybody should be doing it, but then they used a very crude tool to solve a very complex problem, and it's going to generate them even more problems in return.
And in practices like Nat and ours, where the access has been amazing, it's actually going to cause an issue, isn't it?
Yeah, potentially. Yeah.
Okay.
Good.
On that happy note.
No, so like what? Yeah, summarize. Do you want to?
So all of the problems, all of this, the practices that are having problems right now, are really struggling. what would be your 3 pieces of advice?
Don't do a hybrid.
Yep.
Stick with it. Like, don't give in if you've just switched. It will get easier. I think follow the rules that we're telling you about. We're saying this because we've been through it and we understand how it works. So watch the videos, read the resources, etc. And it is a great thing. I would never go back from Total Digital Triage. It saved so many appointments. It works really well for patients. It gets the right patients in. It's not some thing that's killing off general practice or something that's taking away from the traditional approach. Like, you can still get continuity. I think we've got to be careful that we push back against what needs pushing back against, and we embrace change where change is appropriate.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So for me, I think for us, the best thing that happened with one of the really good things happened with it is we do our triage we call it the on-call room or the mess. So you have an on-call GP, on-call receptionist, sometimes an on-call admin pharmacist or secretary, somebody with you. Actually, it's a really nice team. You're sitting together, you're talking together, you're dealing with problems together, and it actually has helped. Like us, you feel like I'm not battling this on my own. We are in the trenches, but we're together.
And we have a kind of handover process between morning and afternoon where the whole of the clinical team gathers and we have coffee together, and that's also a useful time to benchmark as well. What would you have done with this triage? What would you have done with that? So it just brings consistency as well.
And have a moment. You won't believe what I had to deal with today, but that's always helps. But I think, and the big major learning thing is, look at you for us, that made it.
So there you have it, guys. 42 minutes after triage closed, we've been through most of the golden rules of triage. Stick with it; it will work. And I know that there are lots of controversy about how this 8:30 to 8 o'clock to 6:30 opening was instigated, but that's not for this session. As Nat says, it does work. It is good for general practice, and I think if you embrace it, it will work out better for everyone, including your staff. In fact, most importantly, for your staff. And we never make any apologies for actually doing a lot of the stuff that we do here is actually for our staff to make sure we protect their psychological safety. Because as I said, again, happy staff mean happy patients.
Yeah, always put your oxygen mask on.
Look what I've got. Make a mention it.
Now you're just asking the universe for bad things. Get it off.
Okay, hide that. But put your oxygen mask on before you go saving everybody else.
Absolutely.
And that's what Total Triage is.
Nat, thank you for joining us tonight. It's been really useful. I think that's really useful for all the other viewers as well. And let's do it again.
Any questions?
Just give us some questions.
There's lots of forums, but I will be putting this on YouTube, I think.
So they can be commented there.
And some of the Facebook forums.
I'll
give the video to Nat as well, and then if there's questions, we'll answer them.
Happy to.
And we'll do one Medicus very shortly.
I'll be watching.
Thanks, man.
Okay, all right. Bye.